Hey everyone, it's Pip. Welcome to my 5th video blog in my diary that I have been keeping since I was diagnosed with breast cancer in August this year. Before I continue, one of my friends who's been watching my videos noticed this cushion, which she bought for me Christmas last year. So Sienna, thank you very much for this cushion. And yeah, today is the 4th of October and in 2 days time I am going in for my surgery. So as described before, you've seen my videos, I'm going to be having a full mastectomy of the right breast. After the biopsy they took of my sentinel lymph node, the lymph nodes are involved as well, so I will be having lymph nodes taken from under my arm. They don't know how many they're going to take yet, but I've been informed that my arm will be very stiff for quite a while I'm recovering. Also, I'm having reconstruction in the same surgery. So it's quite full on, but apparently it takes 2 to 3 hours maximum. I'll be staying in hospital overnight and then being discharged again on Saturday morning. I guess after that I'm going to be watching a lot of daytime trash TV, catch up and box sets really. That's going to be my life for the next few weeks while I sort of get my mobility back in my arm. Apparently I'm going to struggle doing this kind of thing. I mean, after my operation last time I couldn't lift my arm above this for quite a while, so I'm probably going to need help getting dressed, getting in the bath or the shower, making dinner. I've been told that afterwards, because of the lack of the lymph nodes, I won't be able to lift heavy shopping. For a while I won't be able to do lots of repetitive movements such as ironing or hoovering. So that's great. Yeah, no housework for me. But yeah, so it's 2 days away. I am feeling nervous again. All these sort of old feelings of anxiety are creeping back. Had a couple of sleepless nights, overthinking everything and even picturing what they're going to be doing during the operation, which really isn't helpful at all. Last night I was lying there not being able to sleep and I could feel my heart really pounding, and I was struggling very much to sort of calm it all down. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about today actually was talking about cancer. The reason for this is because, as I said I think in my first video, cancer affects 1 in 3 of us in our lifetime, and it is a very taboo subject. And for obvious reasons. It can be very painful. A lot of us will have lost loved ones to this illness, and it's not something that's easy to talk about. But if it is something that could be hereditary, carried in your DNA, then it's something that it is really important to talk about in your family. The reason I say this is because the week before I was diagnosed, I was at the hospital when I was having my tests done. I had the biopsy, and the doctor said to me, "Is there any history of cancer in your family? It's very unusual for someone of your age to have breast cancer." And I said, well, my dad's mother, so my paternal grandma, did have cancer. She lost her battle to that when she was middle-aged, so she was still pretty young when she passed away. But when they then said, okay, so what type of cancer was it? I realised that I didn't actually know. I knew that she had been diagnosed relatively young, and that my dad, as a little boy, had been told that he might lose his mum. She won the battle the first time, and then some years later it came back aggressively. She had secondary cancers and she lost her battle, and I think I was about 1 year old when she passed away. But other than that, it was sort of all I knew, and as you can understand, it's not something that we really talked about. And I did ask my mum because I didn't want to speak to my dad, and I hadn't been formally diagnosed yet, and the doctor had said, well, if it's ovarian or if it was breast cancer, it's important to know, because there could be therefore a strong chance that it is genetic, especially coming from the paternal grandmother. That is quite a strong link. And I briefly spoke to my mum about it, and she said, no, I think it was cervical cancer. I'm pretty sure it's cervical cancer. You know, I knew your grandmother for more than 10 years, and as far as I'm aware, yeah, there were secondary cancers in other places, but the first time, I'm sure it was cervical. So I said, okay, that doesn't seem to be, as far as I'm aware, one of the genetic cancers. And I put it to one side. Obviously, after I was diagnosed, all of these thoughts went out the window anyway, because I was too busy dealing with the news, trying to cope with the information being thrown at me, as was the rest of my family. Anyway, last Monday, I was at my aunt and uncle's house, my dad's brother and his family. My granddad, my dad's dad, was there too. He's nearly 90, very lovely chap, tells the same jokes all the time. But yeah, we love him dearly, and we didn't really speak about my diagnosis much. We had a really nice evening of just laughing and chatting and catching up. But then my granddad did mention, because I think I'd spoken about, you know, chemotherapy being inevitable for me and I will probably lose my hair. And he then mentioned how his then young wife, he remembers having to console her when she was given the news that she would probably lose her hair with some of the treatment she was going to get. And I can't remember what was said next, but then he said, oh yes, it was ovarian cancer. And I just thought, oh, okay. And it was at that moment I realised how important it was that this needed to be spoken about. Ovarian cancer can or can't be, you know, could be genetic, and it is intrinsically linked with breast cancer. And at the moment, I'm not saying it definitely is, but there is a strong chance that it will be. And if it is, it's a bit of a game changer, because then the doctors will need to be able to offer me a mastectomy of my left breast as a preventative thing, and depending on the cancer, maybe removal of my ovaries. You know, it's quite a serious thing. And yet, I guess, you know, back in the day, they didn't know that it was something that often could be carried genetically. I mean, that's, I guess, a relatively recent discovery. I don't know. My knowledge, I'm completely ignorant on the subject. I mean, I do know families, I do know some women who have had mastectomies, they've had their ovaries removed as a preventative thing, because they have breast cancer and ovarian cancer in the family. And I guess for me, perhaps if I had known this information earlier, I may have been more aware. I may have checked more regularly. The doctors may have been aware. Things may have been different. Maybe they wouldn't. But I guess the point of what I'm trying to make here is, as painful as it can be, knowledge is definitely power in these situations. So if you do have cancer in the family, tell your kids, tell your grandkids, tell your siblings, nephews, nieces. You know, don't talk about it all the time, but if they are aware that it's a gene they could be carrying, then you could potentially save their lives or change things for the better. But anyway, wish me luck for my surgery. Once I've had the surgery, they'll know in more depth sort of what kind of chemotherapy they need to give me, and I'll have more information about the cancer from being able to test the tumour and the lymph nodes. So fingers crossed. I will check in with you guys again soon, and as always, thanks for watching.